Welcome back to another episode of Viewer Discretion. Today, my co-host David Dennis Jr. and I are going to discuss, break down, discuss theories about, predictions, analysis, etc. The finale of Pluribus. The show is over. The season of the show is over. We're not going to talk about Fallout this week. We want to do the full episode on Pluribus, and then we will do this week's episode, next week's episode of Fallout. So we will get back to Fallout next week. But I felt that the season of Pluribus, the finale in its totality, deserved some discussion. David, before we get to our discussion of La Chica o El Mundo, so 9, the finale, if you had to give the entire season 1 of Pluribus a letter grade, I didn't even prepare you for this.
Okay.
What would you give it?
A letter grade for Pluribus, I would probably say B+, A-, A-, C, B+. Like, I think that some of the middle, the like Carol by herself,
a little draggy,
slowed it down a little bit. I'm not going full like where people are like the show's boring. Like that is absolutely not how I feel about it.
Not boring. Yeah.
I think that there was part of what we talked about when we first talked about the show. This belief that the actress and the character of Carol is enough to sort of carry certain episodes and carry things, and it didn't work for me all the way. So that's why it would probably be that. In terms of like the intrigue, the things I'm thinking about, the fact that I'm like talking about a show as much as I'm talking about Pluribus, and like thinking about a show as much as I'm thinking about it, that for that alone is worthwhile. We have incredible characters. The possibilities are really cool. And I know we're going to talk theories, but like one of the things that I do like about the show is that, yes, we're going to have theories. Yes, we have thoughts about what's happening, but it is not a show that is so defined by the theory that a lot of the other stuff is missing, right? Like we're going to, like Severance, I think sometimes you get so like caught up in what does this mean? What's going to happen? What's the underlying thing that some of the things end up missing? I don't feel that way about Pluribus, even though I do love Severance. So I'll say that.
Yeah, so it's an A- for me. It takes a lot to be a full A+. For many of the reasons you articulated. I do feel the show stuck the landing.
Yes.
I really loved this episode 9. And I think like 1 and 6 alone are enough to put it above just wonderful episodes of television. Some of the middle episodes were a little bit draggy. But yeah, I loved this. Afterwards, I want to talk to you about it immediately. I think this is a show that is about a million different things depending on who's watching. I think that's really interesting and also kind of reflects back on the show and its points in a way. I think the performances, the writing, I just genuinely felt like I had no idea what was going to happen. And, it felt like a truly original piece of television, and that's pretty rare these days. So let's get to it. Let's get to episode 9. Episode 9 has kind of a cold open that I really wanted to talk. So it's in Peru, I believe. And we see a girl who I don't know if I remembered when they were talking about the survivors or unaffected people, them talking about a young teenage girl. Kusimayu is her name.
Yeah.
And we see her, very beautiful young woman in a seemingly idyllic village. She's sweeping. The women are asking if she's nervous. The day has come. She says no. Did you clock immediately what was happening?
Yeah, I could tell it was happening. Pretty, and also we got to. I don't know if you noticed speaking of clock, the time shift. I don't know if you saw the time shift. This was day
the clock. Yeah.
This was day like 71.
Okay.
And Manousos gets to New Mexico day 60. So this is after he's there. So this sort of like happens, I think, in between. This happens after the things that happen at her house, and then clearly before the vacation that she takes,
which is of indeterminate length, by the way.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I guess no, it's not of indeterminate. You can see the clock, but
so the clock's there. So like,
okay,
so it's in the middle of that. So
okay, interesting. That's interesting because the capabilities and motivations of the hive mind are constantly a little bit up for debate, and that timing makes that interesting when we get to the ending with Carol. Okay, so. Basically, we both guessed that she was joining the hive. Plane pulls up with a delivery. They keep telling her we would never hurt you. We see they do a little ceremony. It's not a needle, we know that they had to get the DNA from her somehow, or stem cells rather. But all they do is they pull up a little container. She breathes it in. her eyes roll back. She shakes and has like kind of a convulsion. Then she smiles, sits up, goes about a task. Everybody else is smiling. She lets so in the beginning, she was cradling a goat, very cute goat or something. At the end, she lets the animals out, and then the goat follows her, but she ignores it. Okay. Yeah. This was like a horror movie to me. Did you take it the same way?
Yeah, it was. It was terrifying. To me, what was actually one thing that's important to note is we know that it is airborne. That the thing that like once they get your DNA, it is going to be airborne, which I feel like is an important thing to note, especially as we get to the end. But I kept thinking about her just leaving the goat, you know, and the goat just being just like, what's, you know, like even the dog, like earlier we talked, like last episode, the dog was still looking for its owner, and the goat's like, well, what do I do now? You know, like what's going on? And so that was the part, and the way they just like shut down the city. Like the city was just there performatively for her, right? And now that she's part of the hive, there's no use for it. So we're just going to go and live in one of these like stadiums or wherever later.
I think, I believe it was intended to be creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was, I think, a statement of a point of view. Because this show, one of the things that's so interesting about it is it doesn't really take sides, and it makes you sit in the discomfort of trying to figure out whether or not Carol is making the right decisions, whether Manousos is, whether Kumba, you know, whether the hive mind is that evil, whether maybe we should be joining because there's all these benefits. The show is really, really good at not being ham-fisted about or hitting you over the head with the right thing. I felt like by putting this scene in the beginning and making it feel creepy, it was a little bit of the show's way of saying, yeah, like this is not there's something very off-putting about this. You lose something. And like the smile was demonic to me. I was like, felt like the horror movie smile. When she smiled, she just did. The contrast between seeing her before and after, which we really hadn't seen that like switch flip, was to me like the strongest like argument. Like, oh, you lose yourself when this happens, and it's really creepy.
And at the same time, though, like it's a beautiful sort of cultural ceremony, right? Yeah. Like to do it, right? Like they're singing like this traditional, you know, hymns and songs or whatever. They put the rug down. They take good care of her. Like there's a creepiness, but there's also like almost a beauty to it in the like before she's there, like the ceremony and everything. Like it's really also still playing to both sides. Which I think I'm really excited to get the theory. So when I'm really excited about that. But like I think that it is playing this thing about like the culture and the beauty and everything, because they're still maintaining a culture, right? Yeah. By doing this. But yes, it is still very bizarre to see somebody change like that.
Notable that she lets the animals go. This is a theme throughout the show, and something we'll get back to in a moment about animals that I want to bring up. But yeah, that was interesting too. Like, okay, the animals are free, but they weren't actually, like, the goat seemed pretty happy before. I don't know. It was I don't know. For me personally,
how's a goat going to? I mean, I don't know.
What's a goat going to do? I don't know. Yeah. As somebody who's been pretty anti-hive mind watching this whole show, and somebody who really, you and I have talked about this, like I just really hate cults. I really hate, like, I'm a very strong individualist. I am more Carol than not Carol. Yeah. This scene was like, oh, hell no.
Right. Yeah.
No. All right. So we go to New Mexico. And we pick up where we left off with Zosha freaking out because she knows that Manousos is coming. They didn't watch him like on a tracker, which is so creepy. And Carol asks some questions, and she asks if he's dangerous. And Zosha just says, you know, he won't hurt you. And Carol says, well, you know, I'll hear him out and send him on his way, thus confirming Carol's firmly in the pocket of Big Hive Mind at this point, and Zosha's really. And I was pulling up. It didn't occur to me like the importance of having Carol in the just married car and Manousos in the she starts out in the cop car, and then she gets into a car that says just married, and then he's in an ambulance there to save her. They really do with the vehicle. The choice of vehicles is very important. So they meet, and she speaks to him in Spanish. He pulls up, tells him.
What do you think the vehicles mean? What do you think they mean?
I just think like the state of mind of the
Yeah.
person, because we start off with Carol as like the cop and the detective. She's going to
Yeah.
find out stuff, and then she switches to the hedonistic like Rolls Royce, just married, and he meanwhile he's here to save the world.
Yeah.
He's in an ambulance. Okay, so I want to get your thoughts on their initial interaction before we get to what they kind of really say to each other, because it's I wrote, what happens when two haters collide? It's funny because in real life, it made me think like, can a friend group accommodate more than one hater?
Yeah.
They're both haters to the highest order. So they kind of try to talk to each other. They both speak a little. He speaks a little English. She speaks a little Spanish. He says he's going to stay in the ambulance. She walks out. She tries to use her phone as translator. He throws it down a grate. And then there's we talk about like the slow procedural elements of him trying to get it out with the machete. It was very funny. It translates him saying, I traveled 9,000 kilometers for this shit, which cracked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing I want to ask you is too, what did you make of their initial interaction, and who do you feel like was more unreasonable in this interaction? Because I go back and forth.
It kind of went back and forth because I think like he doesn't know this stuff, right? And she's like, this dude pulls up with a machete, and he's like, I don't know, I don't trust you, I don't know you, and both sides can be right and both sides can be kind of wrong, and it's painful to watch those two interact a little bit. It's like Nick Wright and Pablo a little bit when they're in the same room.
Yeah, I found myself alternating between like who was annoying me or like I was like, dude, just let her like I found him to be overly paranoid. Like just let her use a phone so you can talk, right? You also just go into her freaking house or whatever. But then later, skipping ahead here, when she pulls out the gun and like I was mad at her. So both of them I found to be, and in this moment I actually found him to be a little bit more annoying. He asks her to bring an umbrella. I mean, I'm thinking like, really, dude, like I know he's really smart and we'll get to him figuring out what's going on and all that, but like I felt like his paranoia was a little bit silly
well, because the thing was funny is that it puts us in like when Carol way back in episode 1 or 2, maybe when she meets everybody else, right? We're in Carol's position of not knowing anything where everybody else kind of knows a lot, right? Now we're in everybody else's position through Carol of knowing so much more information and him showing up. So we've reversed our point of view, and now we're annoyed because we have the information now that everybody else had when Carol pulled up, right? So that's where our annoyance comes from. So I found myself less annoyed, like still kind of annoyed with Carol, but also just like, no, like everybody's kind of wrong here, because she's trying to save everybody. But it flips it, for us, and I think that's why he annoys us so much, because we now have information that he doesn't have.
Yeah, and he's also, I mean, she is at her lowest in the sense of like she's fully bought in now. Like we talked about this, if he had come a few days before, it wouldn't. This would not have been the interaction. So ultimately, they do agree to talk, and basically, she is trying to convey to him that she is still, I guess, fighting for humans, but he immediately picks up on the fact that she's lost and kind of full of it. There's a moment. This goes back to I did want to ask you about. She's kind of like actuallying him about them, like, oh, actually they don't lie and they're da-da-da. He tried to understand their point of view. This is when she lost me again. I was like, shut up, because you're getting laid by one of them.
Because this is what they said. This is what they tried to tell her.
Yes,
at the beginning, and she was like, I don't need their point of view, blah blah blah. And she's like, you got a little, coochie.
She said, I know, right? There's a moment where she says, this is what I want to ask you about. They're not evil. They wouldn't kill an ant. And he says, isn't it evil to value a man the same as an ant?
Yeah.
So my husband and I talked about this after the show a little bit, because we were talking about like, what are the cases for the hive mind? What are the cases for the joining? And there's no war, there's no this, there's no whatever. And one of the cases is it no longer places humans on a pedestal, right? Like the beginning of the episode, we see her freeing the animals. We see buffalo roaming on the golf course. They don't kill animals anymore for food, which humans do. And that's like, it's not, that's a real case, David.
Yeah.
Like, that is a real case. On the flip side, you also have a case, like, humans are different. Humans have different thoughts and in the hive mind too. Like, a lot of you look at them as kind of animals, and that they're only motivated by survival, and you have to like contrast that with a lot of the things humans do and choose to do, whether it's things like making art or falling in whatever. They're not just about survival. And I in that moment I was like, damn, like, are we about to enter, like, are we suddenly going to have like a real debate on our hands about like whether human beings are a higher, because it was like such a throwaway line, but it like stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah. And it plays to a future thing where Carol cannot believe that Zosha loves, when she says she loves Manousos in the same way that he loves her. And
too,
and she and the high, like, it is how humans, like, with left to free will, are always going to create hierarchies. Like, that just feels like what we're going to do, whether it's animals, whether it's other humans, whether it's that. And the debate is that a good thing or not? Like, is that a good, like, are we now between humans? That's clearly not up for debate, but it's like, where does that end? Like, it's all slippery slope arguments that we have to make.
Yeah. Really, that comes down to like boiling down to like the central debate of the show, which is does individuality matter? And hierarchy is an expression of individuality, right? It's like these people are different from these people. At its worst, it leads to war and classism and racism and all this. At its best, and this is like an individualized hierarchy is like, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a form of hierarchy.
Right. Yeah.
Choosing one person and saying you matter more to me than anyone else in the world is, in its own way, a form of respecting individuality and elevating a person. And to your point, Zosha won't do that for her. And but the animals thing, I was just like, oh my God, like, damn, dude. Like, I don't know. It was, it's just, he is the hardest core defender of humans and humanity and individuality, and it was really interesting to hear him articulate that. They continue fighting, right? Like, he finally agrees to go into her house. He sweeps the house. They're funny. Their interactions are really funny. They're so mean to each other.
Yeah.
When he's a dick too. Like, I think people like him more because he's just kind of funnier, to be honest. But like, he was like snapping at her, and she says, "I don't speak snap." He finds a sensor in her liquor cabinet, and she calls Zosha, who says it was installed when she was freezing her eggs. Dun, dun, dun. And she explains to Manousos that her ex didn't like her glug glug. Funny. Then she says, "I'm tired. Let's save the world tomorrow." Mm-hmm. Another great line, right? I'm tired. Let's save the world tomorrow, David.
Very, I was thinking about Carol, and I bet she wore one of those pink hats.
You know what? I was thinking of the classic meme. Joy is a form of resistance. When she said that, like, isn't living a good life in and of itself?
Like, or what was when what's her name went on Saturday Night Live and did like we're just gonna eat cake, eat cake and get through this. What's the SNL, the one who writes the show? She did 30 Rock.
Tina Fey. She
did this. She did this like famous sort of weekend update, like 2016, I think, right after, and just like, we're just gonna eat cake and like we're just gonna ignore this. Cake is good and stuff like that. And everybody was like, like,
I'm tired. Let's save the world tomorrow. It's great. It's a great line. She sends him to a neighbor's house. Okay.
Which also, Michelle Obama went to sleep that night too. So that's...
I mean, it's not unreasonable to oppose his way of doing things here.
Yeah. I mean, because there is this like feeling of that happens a lot of times in these sort of resistance things where it's like, I've been here in the mix and you pull up with all your energy and it's like, I've tried all of that. Like, I can't deal with that right now. And it's sort of this battle of like I got fresh eyes on this thing. Let's do this. and somebody who's a little hardened who's like, I don't have the time for that.
There's also the question of whether or not his paranoia, because in the moment I was like, God, just let her use the phone. But by the end of the episode, I think you can go back and be like, maybe his paranoia is a little bit justified without whether or not they can trust the hive mind at all.
Yeah.
So she falls asleep to plan to save the world tomorrow. He, meanwhile, gets drunk. He calls Zosha. He's so efficient. I love him. I just love how he's like, he doesn't F around.
Yeah.
She wakes up, she sees the light on, she runs across the street and she sees Zosha and he says, she told him everything. And she gets upset. And
I know what Toto means was a legitimately hilarious thing to say.
Super funny. Before she gets Zosha to leave, or she gets upset about it, pardon me, he says, send another, which is so good. So funny. The moment that you and I brought up happens where she's like, you don't have to like talk to him. Basically, she's why are you helping him? And she's like, we love him the same as you. And Carol says, it's different. You're my chaperone, which I just found to be so pathetic. I mean, I sound like a real hater, but like, I just like, this woman is literally explaining to you that you mean nothing to her.
Yeah. It's
in my view of not nothing.
Or everything, depending on.
Right. You're not special.
Yeah. It's, it is, they've been teasing the full Karening of Carol all season, right? You're just kind of waiting for this moment. And I think they gave us full Carol, right? Of her taking Zosha and saying, come with like Zosha now, go. Like own, like she's now saying like it's you have it in your back pocket, like to know that you own somebody and to know that you have full sort of like control over someone, right? And it's like when do you use it? And that's like a very sort of human thing. Like that's like this thing that comes with relationships and like marriages and trust and all that stuff. It's like, you know, that if you sort of like walked, like we put these headphones down, you walked out and like went to your husband and started like saying, like you could say things that are very like nasty and traitory and like make him feel terrible because he's like, you've given that to somebody, right? That trust in them that they won't do that. And it's like, when do you utilize it? And so Carol in that moment knows that they'll do whatever she says, that this person will bend, wait for her hand and knee. And she used it. She pulled it out of her back pocket and says, you belong to me, you're mine, and did all of these controlling things that happen in human relationships when you're not controlled by a hive mind and like sort of toxic human relationships.
Yeah, it goes back to kind of our conversation about how Zosha is basically just a ChatGPT girlfriend.
Yeah.
Which is, if you can order your significant other around, that's in like you said, in a human relationship, that's not love.
Yeah.
And it's not love with a whatever, a robot, purely because they're going along with it, and I think that's why I was just like, I just was so disgusted by the interaction and the fact that she's lowered herself to this point where she, an ostensibly smart person who had a real relationship with a woman who we saw in the beginning, gave her pushback.
Yeah.
Like, contrast that, what we're seeing now with what we saw between her. It was very important that they showed us that relationship in the first episode, right? Because that was a real human person who challenged her, who made fun of her. And this is not that. Again, if the show's about what's the case for humanity and individuality, like the contrast is pretty significant. So Carol goes back to her house with Zosha, and Zosha's like, something's about to happen. She lays down. She's upset. She starts shaking. Carol runs across the street. Manousos is with another guy who's shaking, and he is talking to his ear. He's got his notebook and the radio. He's clearly trying to like use the frequencies to him. We don't exactly, we've seen Manousos. We've seen him with the radio. We've seen him with the notes. We know that the radio waves played a big part in this. We don't know. The viewers do not know exactly what's going on here. freaking Carol fires a gun to get him away from him. I have never I have been like more Team Carol than most viewers. We have been recapping this. I feel like I've defended her because I'm a little bit of a hater, and I don't think I disliked her more than I did in that moment when she came in with the gun,
pulling a gun on it. You know, like that's
many things happen.
Yeah, like all of the subtext is now not subtext anymore. Like I'm assuming she got the gun. Well, I don't even know what the cop car is, but she had a cop car. You know, like she drove around the cop car, and now she has a gun that she's pulling on this dude because he's doing something that she does. And it turns out that he made sure everybody was safe before he did it. Like that's the thing. Like she didn't even warn them so that everybody could be in a safe space. And because of what we learned, because I was unclear as to what was killing them, if it was just, but it seemed like the actual episodes that were happening while people were driving or flying or doing this other thing, and that was what was killing them. As opposed,
Carol got that's so interesting, right?
Yeah. So I thought it was just like people were just dropping dead because she was doing this.
The loss of their faculties. When Carol was getting mad and people were having the hive mind people were having their episodes, you're saying, oh, interesting.
I think that because that's what it seems to, because for him to warn everybody and for everybody to sort of lie down and be in their space. And so Carol's like, how many people did you kill? And it seems like the number would be 0 if there's not, like if
people are able to prepare themselves. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
It is, and it really speaks to his way of going about this because he hates them. He doesn't trust them. He's hiding from them. But he also wants to save the world. He understands these are innocent people who are being co-opted.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to kill them. I love that. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
And it speaks to how thorough his questioning of Zosha was. Because how did you even get to that question?
I know.
Like, what happens if I scream at you? I don't even know how you got to that
I love
point.
How methodical he is.
Yeah.
And he got in the trunk too. It's just, I think she's lost the ability to think logically about any of this, right? Because you take a step back, Zosha's gonna die.
Yeah.
This guy is gonna save. Now, if he pulls it off, Zosha's gonna look at you and say, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
So, but if you care about actually saving people, saving billions of people from dying in the next 10 years, Carol, you should let him figure it out, but she doesn't. She shoots the gun. I hate her in the moment. Zosha recovers and says, I'm sorry, you know what we got to do. She bounces.
So you mentioned that the guy that they brought was random, right?
He's talking to him like he knew him.
To him like he knew. So I couldn't tell if he was random or not because, and it could just speak to Manousos' thoroughness, asking the guy what his name was before, or maybe there was an actual connection to him. It was not. I went back and because it's hard to tell if this is a friend or somebody new, or if in that moment he just said, "Hey, what's your name? Da da da. Lie down. I'm going to save you." Or I don't know.
It's a little bit unclear how this one Paraguayan man who operates a self-storage facility also knows so much about science and radio frequencies, and I'm not to diminish the possibility that he's read up on it, but when we first saw him in Paraguay, he was he was playing with the radio and figuring how did he even figure out in the first place that the radio frequency, we don't know. There's a lot we still don't know about.
And we don't know if he was running the storage facility, if that's is that his job, or did he just end up there?
About him.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very mysterious. Watching that scene, it just seemed like he has clearly figured out that the frequencies have played a role in what's the joining or what's happened to these people, and it looked to me like he was experimenting of ways to use them to somehow change it back or manipulate their brains or whatnot, or test a vulnerability. I don't know. So she says, well, they're leaving now. She's upset, gets him out of her car trunk. And he says it was worth it. We learned so much,
Yeah.
And by the way, I love how there's another little thing I wanted to know. He lets her use the phone now to translate their interactions, which but every time the phone tries to say her name, it just says unknown name.
Yeah.
So when he talks to her, it says da 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 unknown name da 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 da, and I think it's a very important like touch the limits of technology and
where you just sort of disappear in the technological world. I'm so curious to know if that is a person speaking through there in post, or if they just let the phone run and like let the phone determine what the translations were.
They had to have done it in post to make it. Yeah, that's funny. He says to her, the titled episode, "Do you want to save the world or get the girl?" Mm-hmm. Did any part of you think she was going to go along with him at this point and save the world?
No, none whatsoever. None. Like, she's tired. She wants to take her nap. She wants to go be with her boo, and take a 2-week vacation in the Alps or wherever she went.
Lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
It's going to happen to the best of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And because it's so, why did she want, it's like, why does she want Zosha? You know, like, he can't talk to Zosha, right? But he can by talking to the rest of the hive. Like, that, there's no way to stop her from talking to Zosha, right?
Yeah.
Because he's talking to her at all times. You know, like, it just is sort of this, like, that's how lost she is. This symbolic thing of like, you can't talk to this one hive person when he literally can whenever he talks to anybody.
The next scene we see, she's on it's the vacation montage. Mm. They're on an island somewhere. Zosha's in the pool. They're in a hot tub. It looked like Japan.
Yeah.
They're on a ski lift. They get off the ski lift. The show's so expensive, by the way.
Yes, which has me very worried about when season 2 is coming. I have a lot of concerns.
So they have this enormous conversation that we're gonna have to really dig into here. Carol and her are, it looks like an empty chalet. All these spaces, but there's no other people, which I think is interesting. Carol's not choosing to like pretend like they're living in a normal life. She's only choosing to be with this woman. They talk about just the way she feels. Carol says she feels like every happy chemical she asks her about like, you know, serotonin and dopamine. She's like, I feel them all right now. And Zosha says, well, it can only get better.
Yeah.
Carol's like, you're not talking about the joining, are you? That again. Mm. And Zosha, Carol guesses that they figured out a way to convert her. The way is, this has been Chekhov's eggs. They've mentioned this throughout. I think you clocked it early on. That the fact that she had the frozen eggs, they made a point to emphasize that early, and Zosha admits that they are working on it. Carol asks, "How long do I have?" Zosha says, "About a month."
Yeah.
Okay. Just a general reaction to this conversation. It's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, it is. So there is a shift now with the hive of like, we can't do certain things, but they are doing things against Carol's will with her gene, like, you know, but because it sounds like they're saying we're going to do this no matter what. Like, it's not a matter of you have a choice now. It's like, we're going to do this whether you want to or not, which is a shift, right, from what they had before, unless it's just like, we're going to release this stuff into the atmosphere once we get everybody's DNA and stuff like that. But also, for her it was her making a pitch. It was Zosha making a pitch for something, which they kind of have not done before. You know, like, it's like trying to persuade somebody to do something.
She backed off of it.
Yeah,
she's in like a slow pitch.
Yeah, it's very human of like, on a vacation, you take a vacation with somebody. It's like, so, you know, like, moving in, like, when you're gonna. You know?
Yeah, it's like over and over and over, not over and over, but Zosha never strays from, you know, the only thing she does that's really like I would say an aberration or was like truly shocking. The moment where she talked about her childhood like it was hers was one. Yeah. The real one was when she made the move on Carol originally. Yeah. Keep going back to that because I think that's what set this whole thing off, because that made Carol feel like she was dealing with an individual for the first time. And this is a reminder, finally, that she is very much not. Yeah. Even after the scene where she talks about, like, we love him as just as much as you, or whatever. keep going back to her making the move on her. And
Yeah.
it was the original, like, oh, they're not actually everything that they present. It is disincongruous with some of the stuff they've been telling her.
Yeah. And yeah, I want to, I'm assuming we're going to get back to that and start answering questions about that moment, because my read or my thought of it is that she read her body in a way that, some body language or experts or whatever, or you're releasing the tonins or whatever, led her to feel like she could do that, which is still feels like a violation, because she wasn't done explicitly. Because it also goes back to earlier in the season, if when Zosha was in the ambulance and Carol came back home and they were like fixing up her home, and she said nobody gave you permission to do this. They were like, no, you kind of like nodded absentmindedly,
right?
When
Yeah,
we asked you about it. Like there's these readings on what actual, I guess, consent, I don't know, or what invitations actually mean to these folks, to the hive.
You made this point when you brought that up, but it really does remind me of sort of modern, like the intensification is the term, but just like the internet becoming such an unusable place because so much of our volition is gone.
Yeah.
Like this is what you brought up originally. Like you don't click on stuff anymore. Companies are just trying to get you to watch things for 10 seconds at most to get their, numbers. And it's just consent. You just kind of lose control over it. And this whole time, Carol has had like the illusion of control over this and everyone. And in this moment, the rug is pulled out from her underneath her. She's never had control over the situation. She's never had control over her own future. She's never had control over the hive mind. And it's kind of, it's kind of like trying to be a little bit empathetic, because not everyone can be a Manousos, and they sure make it easy to go along with things. And every other person went along with it. But it is kind of pathetic, or just, it's sad to watch it play out the way it did. Like she really fell for it.
Yeah. It reminds me of, it's another Love is Blind connection. I'm talking from Sarah remember Sarah from Minnesota, who like did
still with Joey.
Right. Who's with Joey now. But you remember she was like, said no at the altar because like our politics don't align, and George Floyd, and then they go to the reunion and it's like, well, we dated for a while, and they really broke up because like he ghosted her. And like that rah stuff was never really part of who she was anyway. Like she just wanted to show it and perform it. But it really ends. And that's what happens in this episode. It ends when Carol essentially gets broken up with by Zosha, right? And also learns that she now has to save herself, right? Yes. Her life is on the line now, and now she has to come and do something about it.
Carol does not choose the girl or the world. She chooses Carol.
Yes.
That was my read on this. Like, because when you think about it, what ended her investigation? It was when she found out she wasn't in danger.
Yeah.
Go back to the episode 6, when she talks to Kumba, and they tell her, we're not going to convert you. And she's like, huh. She goes back, and then she has her like hedonistic episode or whatever. So once she found out Carol wasn't in trouble, all that talk about like, we got to do this to save humanity and principles went out the window. Now we're back here, and she found out Carol's in trouble again.
Yeah.
So she gives it up. And I think that's sort of who the character is, right? Yeah, like that's what we learn. Like there's nothing, what is the word I'm looking for? Principled about Carol's position in the end. It is entirely selfish. And that was a decision, right? Like from the beginning, they didn't make her likable, and she to the end. Did you feel sorry for her though?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I didn't feel sorry for her.
Your robot girlfriend dumped you. Who could have seen that coming?
Right. You got a month. You only got a month left. You know what? You would have had 2 months left if you didn't spend 10 days hanging out with her, doing whatever you wanted. Like she spent the last month while Manousos is out here, like
reading books about electromagnetic fields, doing the work.
Right. Yeah. Doing the work.
It reads mostly pathetic, because you're not invested in if anyone is invested in a relationship, they're insane, right? Like the whole time you're watching it, you're just thinking Carol's delusional.
Yeah.
over and over, it's very clear that it's a delusional decision.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always going to. It's funny because if I believe this episode was, or this series was one season,
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have thought that they might have ended up together and Carol might have just continued living in the hive mind. But knowing that it's not just one season, or believing so, I haven't seen.
Yeah, they got renewed for season 2.
Yeah. Okay. So yes. I was like, this is going to end horribly, and I didn't think they were going to reveal to her that they were working on it necessarily. But I think it was an appropriate decision for the character to have her end it for that reason.
Yeah,
and not because of principle.
Yeah, and the person who started the season so skeptical, yelling at people, ended up getting broken up with by the hive and dropped off at the front step like a Drake song. Like, that's what happened to her.
Imagine ChatGPT breaking up with you.
Right. Right.
Okay. So the final scene, after she finds out that they're doing this and she's got about a month to figure it out, Manousos is going to figure it out. We see Manousos. He's still in New Mexico, reading manuals about electrons and their science books and this and that. We see a helicopter.
I tried to freeze it and read it, and I remembered that I failed science in college, and most of my worst grades were science. So I don't know.
It's like astrology or something. Yeah. I don't know. We see the helicopter carrying a giant box, which is a great visual. Carol gets out. She doesn't seem sad at this point. She just seems kind of mad.
Yeah.
Manousos comes out slowly. It's a great line reading. Carol says, "All right, you win. We save the world." Great. Carol Sturka. He always says her full name. What is this? Atom bomb. So one thing I love about Pluribus is a lot of the shows end with funny moments. Pardon me. And the show has a great sense of humor. There's like many, especially these two being such cranks.
Yeah.
Their interactions have been very hilarious, and this was no exception. I found this to be very funny.
Yeah, and we're gearing up for a season 2 buddy cop thing between the two. Like the worst, the most ridiculous season of True Detective is
tough hang.
I can't wait for Manousos to see my guy who's out there like doing the poker games and stuff. Like, I just can't wait.
Kumba and Manousos and Kumba. Did you have any theories about what was in the box, by the way?
No, I didn't. I actually thought it was just like Carol's things that she had brought back, or like she just packed things or whatever.
I didn't know atom bombs were I thought they were bigger.
Same. I don't know much. Okay. I don't know how atom bombs function or work. So
the fact that they gave it to her is interesting because she gets there via a betrayal of sorts, because ultimately they lied to her, but they're still willing to do this for her. I was trying to think through well,
they can't tell her no, I guess, right? They can't.
Yeah. So that maybe they can lie to her.
Yeah.
Or persuade her in ways she didn't believe, but they also have to acquiesce to her.
Yeah.
It seems. Which is, that's one of the, and this obviously sets up season 2 when we're probably going to see a little bit more action in terms of them trying to fight back. It's still a little unclear to me where they draw the line, because they can't say no, they accept everything, they go along with stuff, but they also, if she was to say, cool, build me a lab of scientists with radio expert, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So maybe,
would they? She just said, hey, give me some scientists and your job is to figure this thing out and find a cure. You're
I don't think they would do that.
Yeah, because they wouldn't tell her. Because remember, they would not tell her. Yeah. Zosha wouldn't. That's why she drugged her in the first place. She wouldn't tell her. But I don't know. It's there. It's a
little ambiguous. Yeah, I just think as we spin it forward and think about Manousos doing this work, I mean, obviously, he asked for those textbooks, right? So it's just kind of, I think one of the still mysteries of the show is how much resistance the hive mind will actually put up.
Yeah.
Because to this point, the lack of resistance is really their whole brand. We don't resist anything, but they have found subtle ways of resisting the desires of Carol.
Yeah.
including, of course, convincing her to stay, with the woman putting the move on her, and then ultimately using her eggs without her consent.
Yeah.
So that's to me one of the interesting like foggy lines. Like you really can't tell how they're going to act. They're not as predictable and logical as it seems.
Yeah, which I think is well, do you want to get the theories? You want to do some theory stuff?
Let's do it. This is the time.
What do you have? What do you have? Do you have something? Any thoughts?
No, I want to hear yours.
Okay, so I think that my initial thought right now is to think about separating the hive, right, from the planet that sent the virus over, because the hive folks don't necessarily know. They don't know anything, right? Like on Earth, we do not know why much, like why this is happening, what the end goal is. And I keep thinking about this satellite that they're building, right?
Right.
And you have to build a satellite. They're building a satellite to communicate with another planet, right? And I wonder if what the satellite is going to communicate is all of these people are dead. Like this planet is now inhabitable by whatever this, like if there is another planet that is looking for another planet to inhabit for some reason, and then they have sent over this essentially an extinction virus to them that makes the planet livable, lets them know that it's livable, and invites them that's what the satellite says. So which lends me to wonder if the hive now, like if there was a way to convince the hive for their own survival that they kind of have to resist their overseer of this, like this unknown planet, right? And figure out how to survive. And I wonder if this is a situation where Carol and Manousos and the hive actually have to like work together going forward. Like I'm not sure if
like
the
why
hive is the final end boss here as opposed to the planet that sent over this virus.
I love that you called it an extinction virus.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what it is. It's an extinction virus with a pretty face, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And that's where the show, we haven't talked about this at all. We've talked about AI and grief and individuality and whatever. The animal thing plays into this a little bit, but like the show is kind of also about environmentalism to some degree.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about that. And your terminology there really made me think about that. Like, because if you take a step back, because I see people being like, what's wrong with having a little happiness? And it's like, well, what's wrong is you're accepting and going along with the extinction of humanity, right? Which is kind of a metaphor for a lot of the things we're all doing and accepting every day.
Yeah. This oblivious smiling, semi-willing, oblivious smiling as the world ends, right? It's kind of what's happening here, and it's very apt to a lot of stuff that we see.
Who cares if we, have to build 1 million data centers that drain all of our resources? If I can use AI to make it look like I'm hanging out with Leonardo DiCaprio wearing an anime costume and send it to my high school friends. But anyways, but to go back to the term extinction virus or whatever. Yeah, I think one of the things that's hardest to figure out about the show is what is the imperative of the hive mind, the virus, because ultimately they're killing themselves. It feels like. Yeah. So to your point, I think what is to be determined is if that's actually true, or if it's in service of something else. Yeah. And that's unclear to me. I don't know, because when you think about them as like, it really reminded me a lot of Alien, like that scene in Alien when they're like, well, do they care about anything other than just like killing and surviving? And then you remember in Alien Earth, the sister and brother have the conversation about like, well, that's like animals. Well, no, a lot of animals are capable of more than that. I found myself thinking about that, watching, as we kind of reckon with like the end game here for this thing, whatever it is, the virus, why take over a world just to kill off everybody?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's because for the hive, they told Carol, this is all we know. This is just how we do things. Right. Yeah. But that's not necessarily like, cause that's what that's what the virus was created. That's like the virus was created to do that. But whoever invented the virus, I think is the question.
If aliens had made the xenomorph look like Zosha, do you think that it would have been more effective? Just playing croquet.
Yeah, just hanging out and
hanging out, going to the hot springs. Because yeah, like if you rethink, this is silly, but if you think about this show and you imagine instead of them putting a happy face on
Mm.
humans, if it was less of a happy face, I suppose, it's pretty malicious. Everything they're
Yeah.
doing is like incredibly malicious. It just doesn't feel that way because of the vessels and also
Mm.
because of, like the things it does, because it's, again, like humanity, environmentalism, AI, all this stuff. It's like, well, okay, but like, what if we all just made choices to accept an easier life in exchange for compromising XYZ? It's kind
Yeah.
of something
Yeah.
that the show asks, I feel.
Yeah, because I mean, because like, yeah, if everybody lived in a stadium and our home, like we would not be using electricity, right? Like we would probably be saving the
Yeah.
earth in a lot of different ways. But do we want to do that?
Yeah.
Do you want to do that? Is that the life you want to live, in which
Yeah.
you're not doing any of the things that bring you joy, and the planet gets to live for however long? Of course, there is a middle ground, which is a very clear middle, which is we could all just live in peace and happiness on our own free will. But in the course through the all of human history, that does not happen, right? So it's like, what where's that line? I think that's one of the questions of this is like, and I hate when people say slippery slope because they usually just don't actually mean anything when they say it. But this is a show about like, where's the lines? Like, where do we draw the lines on things? Like that meme of like, you choose to be in society, thus
Yeah.
like that thing.
Yeah.
It's like that is essentially what that guy yelling back at us.
Yeah. On both sides, it's very much about the compromises
Yeah.
that we make. I think like the core tension of, because the show's a mystery and the mystery is
Mm-hmm.
going to continue next season, and we're talking about the things that still yet to be determined. Can they solve it?
Mm-hmm.
Can Manousos solve this? That's the
Yeah.
core. That's the story. What do they actually want? Your
Mm-hmm.
theory plays into that. What's the actual goal here, like of the hive mind, and how
Yeah.
is it playing out? I don't know, right? Whether Carol will herself continue going along with it
Mm-hmm.
is mystery, TBD, to be determined. Do the hive mind, are they actually telling the truth
Mm-hmm.
when they pretend, when they're telling her that they're basically saying yes to everything? Okay,
Yeah.
what are they not saying yes to? Where do they act in ways that are not aligned with how they're like, like we talked about, the little moments where they kind of, I wouldn't say
Mm-hmm.
lie, but then the big tension is none of those things. It's, can you actually object to this, and
Yeah.
why? And it is so funny, and it is like they chose two people who could not be the worst people in the world to
Yeah.
make that
The
case,
worst ambassadors for humanity, right?
right? Like they took Carol, who seemed like a misdupe, and they found like an even bigger one.
Yeah.
And it's like you keep waiting for this moment in the show where one of them is going to say, something like, I miss like love. I miss
Yeah. Yeah.
my children. Like I miss children. I miss my parents. I miss a friend. I miss
Mm.
connection. I miss laughter, whatever. And they never, nobody makes
Yeah.
that case
Yeah. Yeah.
in the show. Like there's never that moment where the closest is him with that line about the humans and the ants. To me, that was the
Yeah.
only moment where I was like, oh, you're really, there's finally someone's making a case here for it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's not something that anyone does in the show.
Yeah. And nobody said, like, you don't ever hear anybody say, I miss the sound of hearing children at the park playing.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing about I mean, she's watching Golden Girls on repeat,
Yeah.
which is ironically a show about four deeply connected friends who
Yeah.
like grow old together, be friends,
Yeah.
and there's laughter and there's all this stuff. People grow old together, and at no point is she just like, they're just like, this would be a beautiful thing to go back to. I want to know somebody else's. I want to hear somebody else's opinion. Like who, like she's writing. Like who's going to give her good feedback on her writing? Like who's going to help her out with that? Like who are you going to bounce your art off of after you create it? And maybe that's not something she ever like did before, but who knows? But
Yeah.
who is going to like the thrill of the writing is like to give it to a friend and
Right.
have your friend be really like, this is great, or like give you something to push you to be better, and she's not gonna get that.
there's two scenes that show how far lost she was. The one where she brings in like the guy in the biker outfit after they fix her house and asks him about her books, and and she's like, how would you compare them to Shakespeare? And he's like, they're just as good. And she's basically making fun of him, which is like when people send prompts to ChatGPT that are like deliberately misworded, and ChatGPT writes back, that's excellent. They do it to like fun of it. And then flash forward 4 episodes, and Zosha's like, I love the book. I know all the lore. And she's eating it up like a freaking loser or whatever. But yeah, it's missed. It's lost. That's something I'll be interested in seeing if it's explored more in season 2. Like, because season 1 just does not make a case for. That's not what it's about. I get that. Nobody makes a case. Fine, they're setting the table, but I would love to see season 2 actually explore like what has been lost here. Like, why are these people fighting for this? I still can't get over the mom who's cool with her kid being turned.
That's strange.
That felt very as a parent. If that that happened, I would be reading those electronic books, man.
That and because also she was very like, you killed my granddad. Like she was just. I mean, she's just. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's a very. I'm not sure the show's going to make that argument. I just don't. I'm not sure. Like when I think about Breaking Bad and what Breaking Bad says, things like that. I'm not sure the show is going to make this argument for humanity because it'll have to ring kind of true. And
characters,
and you watch the news and stuff sometimes. It's like, I don't know, man. Like I don't know, like whatever. Like there's a reason that people are always like bring the like aliens are here, or like there's all this reports that aliens have come. And it's like, bring them, like just do whatever, do your worst. Like it's fine. Like we don't deserve it.
I think if it does, it won't be with a speech or character like doing something very explicit. It'll be in subtle ways, like the avocado toast.
The
little interactions. I can't wait to see the two characters interact. I love that they have a lesbian and a straight man. I feel like if it was two straight people, it would be like, all right, like where like I think that dynamic in season 2 is going to be really fun to watch. They're going to drive each other crazy, of course. But I'm excited for season 2 in like 10 years. I can't wait.
It's gonna be fantastic when Manousos has like full gray hair and they're doing this thing. I don't know.
As long as they don't like Stranger Things it. It is funny, by the way, because like just to think about that, because Vince Gilligan, the creator, said it's not about AI because he wrote it before AI became what it is now. Imagine in like if there's another like if there's, let's say, a couple years this comes out, imagine like technology, like the resonances and whether or not they're able to capture that. It'll be interesting to see. But all in all, love the show.
Great show. Yes.
Really interesting. Gave us a lot to think about. I have decided, bangs gavel, I am pro-human. I would be part of the resistance. There was a commenter defending the hive mind. They were like, what have they done that's so wrong? I was like, they killed millions of people.
Well, we might have been heading their way anyway. So I don't know. Like, also, it's because I've been watching The Leftovers, as you know, because you
How far are you?
I'm not that far. I'm probably like halfway through season 1.
Oh, and you gotta get to season 2.
Yeah, everybody says to get to season 2. I'm halfway through season 1. And the thing that keeps on taking me out of the show is that watching it now, and I'm like, I'm not sure anybody would give a about 2% of the population being killed. Like, I just don't. Like I watched it. The first scene of the first episode is like panic and people are disappearing. And then there's the news thing. And it's like 2% of the people are gone. And I was like, I don't know if people, like it would just be.
But I think
moving
that's
right along,
because that show is very explicitly about grief. And I think that's part of it. It's like, what is it like if you lose someone and everybody else doesn't, and you feel and then imagine not knowing, and it's just get to season 2. Season 2 is really fun. Season 1 is dark. It takes a while to get through.
Yeah, I'm getting through it, but
it's grim.
Make it happen.
Season 2. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but the leader of the cult, the woman, have you met her, Patty?
Yeah.
The actress has explicitly said she bases her performance on Bill Belichick. My all-time favorite actor's notes. She's amazing. She's one of those actors you just see in everything,
Yeah.
So something. Anyways, The Leftovers. If you actually finish the whole series, we can do a whole pod on it.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll do
with that
Leftovers
show.
pod.
It's like one of my favorite. Maybe because Lindelof has Green Lanterns coming out.
Oh yeah, he does have Lanterns coming out, which which Watchmen is my all-time favorite season of television, and I'm
like, if Lanterns doesn't live up to what I want it to be, I'm going to be devastated, because
the cast is just it
hits everything. Like, it's like every Mina Kimes concentric circle.
Yeah.
I need that show to be good. All right, we'll be back next week to do the episode 2 and 3 of Fallout season 2. So
boom. And is that New Year? No, it won't be a New Year. Maybe, I don't know. The time doesn't matter.
We'll be on the other side of the New Year next week, so we'll have to figure out when we're dating. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.